Na ikawa. So this thing of asking whether Kenya is ready, Kenya never sat under a tree. Everybody never sat under a tree
and
to
agreed.
say that they are ready for incompetent males.
Yeah, true.
Kenyans are ready for a president or a leader who shows competence, who have their issues at heart, and who will put Kenya first beyond any other thing. Who will take care of the welfare of Kenyans, who will respect the people, the constitution, which is our social contract, who will uplift the nation and its people. That is, I believe, the leadership that Kenya wants, and that is what they have put in the constitution.
Most people view you as the Iron Lady, integrity 100%. But there's like a small faction of people who are like, in 2007 alitucheza. I know probably you've heard the story when Kibaki was sworn in, Mimi, we know blackout, Mimi, then you are at KICC in the middle of everybody. And people are like, she was part of the whole con.
I wonder which con and who conned who. Because in this country we talk as though the Kriegler report, which is an independent report, never happened. We can't just be listening to what PNU supporters of the day, like me, will say, all ODM supporters of the day, because those are two antagonizing groups, and everybody will give their version. We have an independent report. There was vote exaggeration, serious vote exaggeration on both sides. The Kriegler report has it, and I personally know, because when we spent the night at KICC, I for Kibaki together with George Nyamoya, James Orengo together with Karori Omondi for Raila, we actually were able to note that Chepalungu constituency, Raila had been credited with 337 votes, which was then more than the entire population of Chepalungu at that time. When I raised the issue, it was corrected. They brought another handwritten paper, the IBC. They corrected and said that it's a mistake. The actual vote is 37,000. So the 3 had been added in front. I'm just giving a stark realization. ODM had issues with the votes in Juja constituency. They had issue with the Rakanidi and with several other places. So each party had issues. And you remember the infractions of the other side more than yours. So I also remember that there was a constituency in Nyanza, I believe it was Kaspur Kabondo, which had voted 115% of the registered voters, meaning more. So as a matter of fact, who stole from who?
So all of them are thugs.
There was a group from the US that did an audit. And they were saying, when you remove what is believed to be exaggeration on both sides, because anything beyond 80% is an exaggeration, because voters don't freeze on the lines where they registered to vote. So a lot of people don't vote. I don't know whether they say 85% or beyond a certain percentage. When they shed off that, they still would see Kibaki leading with 200,000 votes. That's a very small margin. That's why I say, from where I stand, Kibaki won. But from Kriegler report, the mess was so much that it was not possible with accuracy to say who won. So how was Kibaki sworn in? He was announced by the IEBC. He was announced on the 30th of December 2007. And his mandate was expiring at midnight on that day. We could not allow a vacuum. A candidate has been announced as a winner. We did not have a constitution which guides when you swear a president or the procedure. So we made arrangements for him to be sworn in. And he was sworn in at 5. The ceremony may have continued past 6. He had to be sworn in.
So you're privy to this swearing in conversation?
I attended it. I attended the swearing in. Nothing wrong with it. The time was because there was dispute, which held the announcement until 4. In fact, Kevoito could not announce at KICC because chaos broke out. He announced on the radio after we had left.
Okay.
And then brought the certificates to State House.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could it been avoided, everything that happened after the announcement? That was just bound to happen because of the way it was?
No, it could have been avoided.
Yeah.
And I always say, those who blame the announcement for the violence in some places was sporadic, but it's obvious it was also arranged and targeted, like targeting Mount Kenya people and people seen as non-Rift Valley.
Okay.
Kisses were caught up, Luhias were caught up. Never mind that Kisses had voted for both Kibaki and Raila. Never mind Luhias had overwhelmingly voted for Raila and some for Kibaki.
Yeah.
But when violence breaks, it has no reason. So they were all seen as non-indigenous to the Rift Valley.
Okay.
Yeah. So you cannot give an excuse. 2 wrongs never make a right. And at that time, I used to say, if you have a grievance, go to court. Isn't that what we did with Raila in 2022?
Okay.
We went to court. We obviously disagreed with the court. But that is the better way than losing lives and displacing people. It's not satisfactory, but it is the better way.
Okay.
I feel my vote, or I'm convinced my vote was stolen in Kirinyaga in 2017. I did not lead people to violence. We went to court. Never mind that the court never gave me justice. Up to the Supreme Court. It's only the East African court which affirmed me and said the Kenyan court did not follow the rule of law.
Okay.
It didn't give me the seat, but it affirmed me.
Gave you closure.
Yeah, so I have no regrets for having been at KICC as an agent for Kibaki, just like Orengo and Karori were as agents for Raila. Kibaki was a candidate. I defended his vote and my vote, having voted for him.
But you resigned from his cabinet?
Yes. When
Why?
policies we had agreed upon were not being followed during the coalition government,
okay,
I resigned on principle. So the fact that I had elected him didn't mean that I had to acquiesce with things happening in a manner that is offensive to the people of Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you look at the presidents we've had, most people always say Kibaki is the best president we've ever had.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that statement?
I actually agree.
Okay.
Even though I resigned from his cabinet, look at Kibaki. Kibaki comes in 2003, call it 2002 December, but it's December 30th or something.
Yeah.
So he is president literally 2003. We are crossing over to 2003.
Okay.
The constitution has not been changed, but civil liberties open.
Yeah.
Services to the people become different. He gives free primary education. He actualizes that policy. The economy begins to grow and the government begins to serve the people. Okay. To say he was good for the country and he he facilitated the growth of the economy doesn't mean that he was not fallible. He's a human being. Tensions began within his government leading up to the failed referendum of 2005, leading to the sacking of the entire government and forming of a government that secluded Raila and his people for opposing the referendum, leading to the tension of 2007. So the disputed elections of 2007 come under him. The grand coalition government comes under his tenure. and the 2010 Constitution. The elusive prize that Kenyans were looking for almost 20 years comes during the tenure of Kibaki, but aided by the Grand Coalition government, which had Raila as the Prime Minister and Kibaki as the President. It had two principals who were consulting each other. So their union may have brought back the corruption in government, but on the good side, it gave us the constitution we had been looking for.
Okay.
So Kibaki's tenure still, even with the stain of 2007, remains the best.
What is maybe 3 or 5 things that he did right that these other presidents are not doing, even our current president, that you just look at them and you're like, I wish he would just, I wish. Those 2-3 things that maybe Kibaki got right.
Opening civil liberties.
Okay.
Allowing his cabinet to work. He was not micromanaging.
Okay.
He would supervise you like he's supposed to, because you have to report to him and you have to report to cabinet.
Okay.
And if something is not going right, he will point out. But he let ministers apply themselves. He let the civil service apply itself. Because a minister is not the one who does the work in the ministry. A minister gets the glory as team leader when things work. You get the barbs for the failure when it doesn't work, because you are the team leader. So he allowed us to exercise that. We used to each give their views in cabinet, even when they are contrary. And there were no reprisals. And that was Kibaki, even when he was just my party leader. You couldn't disagree with him, and I disagreed with him several times. He actually appointed me to a shadow cabinet, and I publicly rejected in 1997. And fast forward in 2003, he still names me to cabinet. You see? He was a Democrat.
Yeah.
And I will say again, that doesn't mean he was not fallible. We all have our best and our bad days, and sometimes we sleep, but he was the best. Yeah.
Basically, Kibaki was a listener. He would listen.
Yeah. Yes, he would.
He would listen and give chance to different ideas. All right.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift kidogo from Kibaki. Let's come to politicians as a whole.
Yeah.
Do you believe politicians are truthful people? This is what I mean.
Generally not.
Okay.
But politicians are human beings, and you must weigh each. We can say generally politicians are not truthful, but you must look for every politician and weigh them as an individual.